Hey everybody, it's Paul.
And Steve.
And we are back to discuss it all. Now we've got a fun topic lined up for today. But before we get to that, I just wanted to let you know, if you guys enjoy the content that you're about to see, please leave the video a thumbs up. Hit the subscribe button, make sure you turn the notifications on, and if you have any friends that you think would enjoy seeing this, please hit that share button. All those things will really help this channel grow, and we want to thank you so much for your help in doing that. Also, we will be doing a question and answer video when we reach 500 subscribers. Please leave those questions down in the comment section below, and we will be sure and give you a shout out and answer your questions when we do that video.
Absolutely. Looking forward to that.
Now, today's topic.
Today's topic, one of my favorite topics, when we were kids, and by that we mean kind of preschool, elementary age.
Yep.
So what we remember from our preschool time up until elementary, end of elementary, beginning of junior high school or middle school.
Sure.
What were our favorite television shows? So we watched a lot of TV in the 70s and early 80s.
Oh yeah.
And there were a lot of shows. I started thinking through this a lot that I began to remember. And so which were our favorite TV shows that we remember watching as kids?
Yeah, oh, this is going to be fun.
Yeah, it is going to be good.
Yeah.
So I'll start.
Okay.
I'll go first with this.
Sounds great.
And so one of the shows that, and this may be my favorite on the list, even though these are in no particular order.
Okay.
It may be my favorite on the list that I remember from my elementary years. And that is the show 3-2-1 Contact.
Oh yeah.
3-2-1 Contact. I loved that show. It was about science and learning, but made it fun. Mm-hmm. And it was in that period of time when there really was this desire to make learning fun for kids. Let's use television, the children's television workshop. Let's use this new medium to help children learn things without them knowing they're learning things.
Yeah.
And 3-2-1 Contact was one of those shows for me.
I agree. So I remember 3-2-1 Contact, and that was a lot of fun. And you're right. They really kind of did sneak that learning in without, and they just did it in a way it wasn't heavy-handed. You really didn't know. It just kind of fostered that love of curiosity. It really just indulged your curiosity.
That's right.
Curiosity.
Absolutely. And one of the things I liked most about 3-2-1 Contact was they had these. They had this show within the show, the Bloodhound Detective Agency. So the Bloodhound Gang.
Yeah.
That was a part of 3-2-1 Contact. And confession time, I went and looked on YouTube and watched some of the episodes of the Bloodhound Gang from 3-2-1 Contact.
That's awesome. I had forgotten about that.
It was great. I loved
right.
it. The one that I remember the most was when they poked a hole in the side of a truck where they had been kidnapped, so that they could determine where they were going and figure out. And sure enough, that episode that I remember so vividly as a kid watching was on YouTube. So I got to watch it.
Do you remember how paranoid everybody was of being kidnapped
Absolutely.
in the 80s? I mean, the whole stranger danger thing was just blown so
without a doubt. The two things that I thought were going to be a whole lot more a part of my life growing up than they actually were being kidnapped and somehow being trapped within quicksand. I've never one time seen quicksand, but almost every show had it.
You're absolutely right. I didn't think about the quicksand thing, but you were. I was terrified of being kidnapped.
Of course, absolutely.
And you're right. The quicksand. The quicksand thing was the thing. Now I actually did get stuck in a mud pit. They had dug out this foundation for a house, and then we just had a bunch of rain.
Wow.
And my youngest son had kicked the ball and it rolled down there. I'm like, okay, I went down there, and sure enough, it started sucking me. I mean, I started wiggling like I was up to my waist before I knew it. Wow. And then I remembered.
Did they throw you a vine in order to pull you out like they had to do in all the television shows?
Something happened. I ended up losing my shoes.
Yeah.
It was wild. It was the craziest thing.
It's a great story.
So I don't want to be in quicksand.
No quicksand.
That was as close as I came to it. And then I had to be that guy that's warning all the neighborhood kids.
Yeah.
Hey, be careful over there.
We'll lose you.
Yeah. And then of course, I'm that guy that's telling young boys not to play where it's fun.
And,
in the construction site.
They immediately went there.
Yeah.
All right. So 3-2-1 Contact, one of my favorite shows.
That's a great show. Yeah. That is a great show. All right, my first one, I'm going to go in a different direction, and I'm going to go with Silver Spoons.
Oh yes. Oh.
So that was kind of a sitcom of the very early '80s. I think it was Ricky Schroeder.
Ricky Schroeder.
First or second acting thing. Certainly his first on TV. I know he was in The Champ.
Yeah.
And it also had Jason Bateman in it, who has become a much more accomplished actor. And I just remember. I remember the setup. It was just so cool. Ricky Schroeder went to live with his dad. His parents were divorced, and the dad had just the coolest house. Number one was a mansion because the grandfather was like filthy rich.
Exactly.
And he was the guy who was on the commercials about investing, like, we earned our money the old-fashioned way.
That's right. Yeah,
we earned it. Yeah. So, but they literally had a model train running through their playroom.
Yeah.
That would go, outside. It was like this freight train that they could sit on and ride around. They had video games. They had 4 or 5 video game, cabinet
Consoles,
video games, and then pinball machines. I mean, it just seemed like the coolest thing.
It did.
And just some of the setups for the shows were just so fun to me. Like there was a show where they were buying baseball cards.
Yeah.
And so they wanted to corner the baseball card market. the grandfather got involved and decided, okay, well, if we buy up all the cards of this one player and then say that player might get in the Hall of Fame, then the price would go up and sell out.
That's right.
And I mean, it just seemed so cool to me.
It.
Just the whole thing was just a lot of fun.
Yeah.
My parents couldn't stand the show. I don't know why. Well, I mean, I do kind of know why. I mean, going back and looking at it, it probably just wasn't, that good of a show for them. But to me, I loved it. I loved it in the 80s.
That's a great show. I'm glad you mentioned that. I didn't have that on my list, but now that because I just didn't remember it. But now that you mention it, it really suddenly, you start seeing Ricky Schroeder. He usually was wearing a sweater. And what a great that was a great show.
Had that blonde hair.
Yeah. That was before he became Rick Schroeder.
That's true. That's true. Yeah.
That was a very good show. All right, so another my second show that really reminds me of when I would be sick and have to stay at home. I would get to watch this show, and sometimes it was early enough in the afternoon that I could get home from school and I could watch it, but always loved it, and that was the Beverly Hillbillies.
Okay.
I loved that show as a kid, and I don't know why. I tried to watch some episodes not long ago on one of the streaming services, and it just didn't really stand out to me. But at the time, as a kid, I loved the Beverly Hillbillies.
Yeah, the Beverly Hillbillies was fun, and for me, maybe it was the area that I grew up in. We didn't get that as reruns very often.
Oh, right.
I don't know why.
Yeah.
But I happened to catch a few episodes here and there, and that just wasn't my thing. Now looking back on it, it was a fun show. It was a fun premise.
Right.
But yeah, I'm kind of with you. Like being older and looking back, it just doesn't quite do it.
Yeah, but I enjoyed it. I could sing the song and watch the show.
The song was great.
That's right.
It may have had one of the best rerun theme songs.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
In fact, sometime we ought to talk about our favorite reruns.
Oh, that would be good.
Yeah.
That'd be good. So we don't want to use them all up right here.
That's right.
So I will go ahead and use one right now. And this is another one. It only came on reruns every so often. I think because they didn't have very many to do, so they couldn't play it every day. And that was Batman.
Batman, yeah.
I love the 1960s Batman or 1970s, whenever it was. Adam West, Burt Ward, and just this cast of zany villains. Of course, it was just such a campy show. But as a kid, I didn't realize that it was that it was campy. And even today, I still like it just because it's just so fun for what it is.
It is.
Here's this guy, dressing up, fighting crime. He's got villains that dress up in like these costumes. They're like, hey, look at me, I'm about to commit a crime.
Right, I'm going to do something wrong.
So I think it was I think it was Jerry Seinfeld said, he's only got like 4 or 5 villains. If the bank's been robbed and they've left a note, go look for the Riddler.
You know it was. That's right. The Riddler was the one who took it.
Go look for the guy in the green suit.
It's a great show.
So I just love that show. I mean, again, just kind of goofball premises.
That's right.
The new Batman movies are so much better in terms of storytelling. Yeah. But I still just love the visual of the 1960s Batman show.
No, that's great. That was a great show. No doubt about it.
So like I said, it didn't come on often because they just didn't have many episodes to put into syndication. So like you'd get it for like a 3-week stretch where you'd get that episode. And then it would be gone for a season or
Wouldn't
two.
see it.
So so it was like, okay, put that on your calendar. Batman's on.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's a great pick, and that was a great movie, or a great show as a kid. So, all right, so I'm going to go back to the educational because this was another show that not only did I watch a lot when I was a kid, but I absolutely loved it, and that's the Electric Company.
Yes,
the Electric Company in that same vein as 3-2-1 Contact. Talked about not just things like reading and writing and that sort of stuff, but more importantly, talked about hands-on. You were doing science experiments and learning things that would wow you. Even more so than some of the later educational programming. I think with the electric company, you just had, again, this draw to kids where television could be more than just passive entertainment. It could also be active. You could be learning, and curiosity. You used that word earlier. I think that's exactly right. Really appealed to curiosity.
Yeah, Electric Company was great, and that's actually one of the reasons why I watched Sesame Street, because I wasn't that into Sesame Street.
Right.
I like some of it, but I was really, Sesame Street was kind of the marker for me in preschool that I know the Electric Company coming on after.
Right.
And the Electric Company had a better theme song.
It did.
It was more upbeat and kind of rocking, and I liked that.
That's it.
Even as a kid, for me that was just the thing, and there was no puppets involved, which I don't trust puppets nowadays.
Don't listen to
I mean,
puppets.
I like them then, but I don't trust them now.
No, you can't ever trust a puppet.
Yeah, and that's how you get kidnapped. Somebody in a van comes over with a puppet.
Oh, that's great.
It's a van full of quicksand.
Yeah, absolutely. Then you're stuck. You're done.
So yeah, the Electric Company is a great one. I remember Sesame Street, Electric Company, and then there was another show that came on, and I can't remember if it was on the Children's Television Network or not, but it was called Kids Incorporated.
Oh yeah, sure.
And that one, I couldn't put that one on my list. I want to talk about it right now just because we're talking about these shows. That one just seemed so cool to me because it was almost like these kids doing a production company.
Yeah, sure, that's right.
And they were dancing and music and stuff, and that really appealed to me. But it never came on TV.
Yeah.
Like I kept seeing the ads for it, but I never was able to find the show.
Yeah.
As a kid.
Right.
I'm gonna have to YouTube that. And
There you go. I'm sure it's there.
Yeah. So, okay, that's a great pick, Electric Company. So I'm gonna go with a show with a Quicksand theme.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Here, and this was a Saturday morning show. After cartoons came on, a little bit more highbrow. Land of the Lost.
Oh yes, loved Land of the Lost.
Another show with a great theme song. Of course, this dad and his two sons go river rafting and go through a portal, and all of a sudden they are back in prehistoric
with
times.
the dinosaurs.
With the dinosaurs trying to eat them, and then there's a race of humanoids.
That's right.
The Sleestaks, I think they were.
Can't remember.
And there was always this quicksand-like substance called Quicksuds.
Yep.
Which was quicksand that was foamy.
That's right. And you always got stuck in it.
And somebody always got stuck in it. That was. I think that was the major. Those were the major plot elements in '80s TV. Was you're stuck in quicksand or you're kidnapped.
And one of those two things. That's why we're scared of all the time.
I think that's what it was. All our favorite TV people. That's what's happening.
Absolutely.
So Land of the Lost was a lot of fun. I think that only went a couple seasons.
Right.
But to a elementary school boy, nothing was better than seeing dinosaurs on TV and
you better believe it.
And having to outrun them or figure out how to survive in that environment, as well as trying to figure out how to get home. That was just a lot of fun. Now, of course, they tried to remake that as a movie, which was a miserable failure.
It didn't work. No. Didn't work. So I think part of what made it great was that there wasn't over the top like CGI. I mean, you didn't have CGI, but there wasn't over the top. Production value. If you look back at it now, it's here's that guy in that suit over there. But it was a good, almost a wholesome storyline. I mean, the plots were good. So
it was all about we have to find this objective. Right. The bigger objective is getting home, but for this time we've got to find something so we can eat, or we try to find this thing that these people need.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's a great pick.
Or get out of the quicksuds.
Yeah, always. You have to get out of the quicksand. Usually with a bond.
Usually
somebody found
always with a bond.
And I didn't remember that one either, but a great television show. So, all right, so my next one I'm going to go with is, and this has to do with music. I liked music as a kid, liked some of these musical shows, and that was The Muppet Show.
Yes.
I loved watching The Muppet Show. And again, it's one of those, even though it was a show that I watched as a kid, I remember watching it with my parents and them sitting there and, especially the two old men sitting up at the, at the opera or whatever. But that was a great show. It was fun. The music was great. Even the movies that kind of came out of that were good, at least to begin with.
Oh, yeah.
And loved The Muppet Show as a kid growing up.
The Muppet Show was great because it was one of those variety shows, and so yes, the parent set, that was a family show.
Absolutely.
And yeah, I remember the musical guests. I especially remember John Denver.
Mm-hmm.
For whatever reason, that he stands out as a guest
Right,
star
right.
to me more than almost anybody else.
Yeah.
Probably because my mom played John Denver so
All the
much.
time.
But yeah, that stands out to me. And my favorite skit in the Muppets
Mm-hmm.
was the chef,
Always,
the
of course.
Swedish chef,
Of course.
and I think Beaker.
Yeah.
Or no, that was Dr. Honey doing
Yeah.
Beaker. But the Swedish chef was my favorite.
Was the best, yeah.
Yeah.
He and Beaker. I mean, that was a good
Yeah.
a good sketch as well.
Yeah, the old men that was my dad's favorite.
Hilarious.
And I like them, but for me, the Swedish chef
Yeah.
is still my favorite.
That's good.
So, yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, so the Muppet Show, that's a great thing. Okay, you had mentioned staying home from school.
Yep.
And I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna make my pick for when I was home from
Okay.
school. And this is a show I still like to this day, but when I was a kid, it was just a magical show.
Okay.
That's The Price is Right.
Oh yes, great
And
pick.
I think it had so much to do with all the set pieces they had.
Mm-hmm.
They must have a warehouse full of all these different games.
That's right.
And it just seems so cool to me.
They were.
I could care less about the picking the price of things. That was a fun little element.
Right.
But for me, like watching them play Plinko or putt do the miniature golfing
Yeah,
thing,
yeah.
or the little mountain climber going up was
Always. I think that was my favorite of the games.
Oh yeah, it was Yodel.
Of course.
It was just such a fun show, just because it was so different every single time.
That's right.
And of course it's a show anybody can play. You're basically just guessing the prices of stuff, and then
Nothing to it.
figure what you would pay, and then multiply it by 9,
And that's
about
That's
the
right.
price.
Yeah, they were on California price scales.
I guess. I don't know what stores they were shopping at, 'cause it was always like way inflated prices.
Always, yeah.
There was always some strange stuff on there too.
Things I'd never seen before.
Yeah. So The Price is Right is that's going to be my stay home from school show.
No doubt. Bob Barker just made being sick endurable.
Yeah, and that was a great show because they did like it was an hour long show,
Yeah,
I think.
yeah.
So that took up a big chunk of the midday.
It sure did. That's right.
And then there was the dreaded period of time when the soap operas started and nothing was on.
And then you're done.
Yeah.
Then you're done.
Yeah, then you had to try and sleep or read.
That's when you would drink your tab and eat your little saltine crackers and take a
Get your
nap.
bowl of soup. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
that's good. That's a great pick. I really like that one. So I'm gonna go next with one that's younger in my childhood, but that I could not wait to watch every day. This is probably preschool, maybe right at that first grade or something like that, and that was Captain Kangaroo.
Okay. Yeah.
I love the Captain Kangaroo show, Mr. Green Jeans, and that was one of those shows, one of those kid shows like Bozo the Clown or whatever, where they made you feel a part of whatever they were doing. So Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, those are the types of shows that they weren't so much entertaining you as they were inviting you to join them in some journey, and that's what I really liked about the Captain Kangaroo show.
And that's the I like how you put that is inviting you to join them on that journey because for me it would be much more Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood than Captain Kangaroo,
Yeah.
but Captain Kangaroo definitely had that same element, and that's a great pick for that. Matter of fact, we had on regional TV in Maryland, we had a guy named Captain Chesapeake who was trying to do the same thing
As Captain Kangaroo.
Never took off
That's right.
as well, but remember he had a whole crew member kind of thing.
Right. That's great.
All right, so that's what your fourth.
Fourth.
Okay, let me make sure where we're at.
Yep.
All right, my next one is going to be this is going to be a broad category because I don't specifically have an exact show because I can't remember the show's name.
Yep.
But really, it's anything that played music videos.
Oh, right. Okay.
So of course, MTV back then actually played music. Imagine that.
That's exactly right. Not anymore.
Not anymore, but we didn't have MTV, but we did have like weekly shows, like Friday Night Videos.
Friday Night Videos. Mm-hmm.
And those to me were just great because you got to hear the hit music that you liked on the radio, and you got to see the visual element. And what I really liked was that's where I ended up learning about a lot of music that I had never seen, but I had never seen music before. I had never heard that music before.
Yeah.
But all of a sudden, it was being presented to me with this engaging, short film format, and I discovered a lot of great music. During that.
Okay.
So whatever you want to call those shows, I think that they almost were regional.
Yeah.
Because MTV was the first thing that did that nationally.
That's right. That's right.
So whatever TV show you want to call that in your area, anything to do that played music videos.
Yeah, sure. No, that's a great pick, and that is a lot of entertainment. Those were great. They introduced you to great music and entertained you as well. They became their own little TV program. Each video was its own little show.
Oh, it was. Yeah. And then even the VJs got to become personalities.
Yes, that's exactly right.
So they're on Sirius XM now.
Absolutely. They're at second career.
I guess.
Yeah. So all right. So my final. This is my fifth and final. And again, there were a lot of TV shows that I watched and liked, and there's some that almost bridge this little gap, but maybe fit more with junior high school.
Sure.
And so when we talk about those, some of these might show back up. But I'm going to go with, and at least as an elementary school student, the Partridge Family.
Ooh, okay.
So I think the music had something to do with it, maybe like the Muppet Show again. You had a lot of kids, and especially older elementary is when you're starting to maybe even discover girls, and so you had that you had the younger kids that were just all having fun. So if you're watching it at that point, you get a little bit older, and you have the teenage girls that are on there, and the daughters. So that may have had something to do with it as well. Plus, I mean, you had great fun music, like later kids are going to be watching, Hannah Montana or anything like that. That was the fun, music program for kids when I was in elementary school.
Yeah, so the Partridge Family is a great pick. I'm glad you mentioned them. They were fun because there was a lot of family shows at that time where it was like this big family doing something.
That's right.
The Partridge Family was the only one that I can remember that did music.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
And that did introduce an element of fun and being different into it, where it was almost aspirational. It's like you could almost imagine, like, well, I want to be.
My family can do that.
My family can do that.
That's right. Let's get a bus and paint it. Psychedelic
crazy.
And go.
Yeah. So that's a lot of fun. Now I'm going to go with another. I'll stick with your theme of like later elementary, and for me that's going to be Dukes of Hazzard.
Oh yes. Okay.
So we talked about in our car video that none of the ones are car guys.
Yep.
Nothing about like the car chases really excited me as far as driving, but I thought they were fun.
Yeah.
I thought they were funny, and to me, what defines the Dukes of Hazzard was the villains.
Of course.
Boss Hogg and
Roscoe P. Coltrane.
Yeah, Roscoe P. Coltrane, and then I think Cletus was the other deputy.
Yep.
And yeah, I mean, just that cast of characters. And you got Uncle Jesse, you've got Daisy, who I was too young to be into.
Right.
To me, the Dukes of Hazzard was just kind of a fun show, and really for me, like you said, bridging kind of that late elementary, early teen kind of thing. For me, it was a show that kind of came and went.
Right.
Like I never, just all of a sudden, like kind of, I just put it aside. I'm like, okay, I don't really care about that anymore.
Right.
There's only so many times you can see the Duke boys jump that same creek.
Absolutely.
The sheriff's car going into it.
That's right.
So
the Dukes of Hazzard was the show that I had in mind when I said there's some that really are junior high for me.
Okay.
Because that was when Dukes of Hazzard came out, and that certainly if we do a junior high one, that would have been, or middle school one, that would certainly be on there, because it for me, it was not just that it was a fun show and you couldn't wait to watch it and you saw those things, but then we took our bicycles out and we made ramps, and so all we wanted to do was the same thing. I mean, I remember when the pilot came on, this great. You watch it for the first time and you think, okay, now we're going to go build ramps and we're going to jump these things on our bikes all the time. And so the Dukes of Hazzard was just absolutely a great show. Terrible acting, but a great show. So, and I think Boss Hogg in some ways, so for me, Boss Hogg and Uncle Jesse make that show.
Oh, I agree completely.
But secondary character, but just really make that show.
Yeah. And again, the Duke boys are always getting captured, which to me equated to kidnapping.
That's right. You can't ever get, it's like 6 degrees of separation. You can't get far away from
You can't get far away from
No, that's great.
So, all right, that was a great one. That was a whole lot of fun.
Yeah, that's great.
It's funny. So we're going to talk about one more here. You didn't know about this, but I saw your list, and we both have the same show list. And we can't get away from this video without talking about Scooby-Doo.
Scooby-Doo, yeah, that's it.
Scooby-Doo was great. So I don't think, did we talk about any cartoons?
We didn't talk about any cartoons, and I had Scooby-Doo on my list, but as I started thinking through it later, I thought, well, we might talk about our favorite cartoons at some point. So I kind of left that one off. But of all my cartoons, Scooby-Doo was the top.
Probably, it had the best stories.
Yeah,
I think.
Absolutely.
So, okay.
Absolutely.
All right. That's all we'll talk about that, because it'll show up in a cartoon video eventually.
That's a good. I'm glad that you mentioned it.
Okay.
Great show.
All right, so those are our lists. Those are our top 5. Now, there's hundreds of shows from this time period, and you could really pick any of them.
That's right.
So what did we get right? What did we leave off that are your favorites?
That's right.
We'd love to know in the comments down below. Again, leave those suggestions for the 500 Q&A video down below. We want to thank you so much for watching with us, and we'll see you guys next time.